Okay, everybody, now with some food in the belly, I think you also will be more active to ask us some questions. Olivier has kindly told me that I should animate you to submit more questions for you, Katharina. Now, very warm welcome. You have a very interesting career because from what I understood, you started as a doctor, is that right?
Yes.
Yes?
Absolutely.
And we shall take a seat because otherwise you will have no microphone. So you started as a doctor and then basically ended up in a huge pharma company, right? And you also are very active in economy. I understand that you also are the head of the Chamber of Commerce of Zug.
Yes, exactly. So I went to med school and was the first in the family who went to med school, and everyone told me, why do you do that? Because we are more in arts, philosophy, and so I said, well, it's so interesting. And after med school, I worked as a physician, and I loved the hospital vibes because it's very active, it's multidimensional. But then I got into clinical studies, so I was an investigator for drug development to bring new molecules to patients. And I think then I just saw what this means when you bring innovation for sick people with the need that they have something that they can be cured. And so I decided to move into the pharmaceutical industry, and I've never regretted it.
You've never regretted it?
No.
And what were kind of the key moments, enlightening moments? You know, do you want to share any of the highlights?
So you might know that hospital environment about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, was more male-dominated. There were not so many female chief physicians. And I had a fantastic boss. She was a lady, Eva, and she was my first role model to kind of bring the female part of leadership to me, and also brought to my attention how important it is to have, you know, this spark to see that we are equitable, that we have diversity in teams. And I think that was a sparkling moment where I first saw how important that is. And then I think the second one, when I joined my current positions, I work for a Swiss company, for Roche, which is an amazing company because we have courage, integrity, and passion as our values. And I'm a very passionate person. So I think what we can do every day for patients, bring innovation, even in difficult times, I think that is the spark that in my life.
And it still lasts. Since 2022, you are the general manager of Roche Pharma Switzerland, right? Yes. And still very excited about it?
Still very excited, yes. And I do hope that one day we will have a cure against Alzheimer's disease. Roche has been very long in research for this disease, has had a lot of setbacks. So I do hope that, you know, I'm still around when we get there, hopefully.
Now, looking at your rather unusual career path, right? Would you have any advice to any young women or any people actually in general, what kind of one should do to advance and to also have a lot of fun in their career?
I think fun is one of the most important things. I think you should love what you do, unless, you know, it's quite cumbersome to spend so much time at work. And I speak a lot to young talent, a lot of women that come to me and we have career conversation, and I think you should have somehow a vision for your life, what you want to do, and there's different parts. There's family, there's hobbies, there's maybe things that you like to do, there's arts, museums, there's the job, and there's maybe also children, and I think you should have, you know, to integrate everything of that. And I liked what we heard in the interviews before, that it's not or, but it's and. And I think there's also different phases in life where you should, you know, spend time maybe also networking. That was something which I always would tell young talent. You have to spend time at events like these. Go outside, speak to people, not just sit at your desk and wait until people will tell you, you are a star, we make you general manager. It's not going to happen.
Now, we heard before from Serena around some of the challenges in nutrition and mother's health. You yourself are very passionate about women's health in general. Where do you see the biggest challenges there in the topic in general?
So women's health is one very dear topic, and I'm very proud that our company also spends, money and funds and time in that, because if you look at inequity in women's health, if you imagine you're a woman in this room, and you go to the ICU, to the intensive care unit, because you are very sick. You go less often, although you are more in pain. And I think that is something which is not okay, that we get less good treatment also in cardiovascular disease, in any disease, and even in Switzerland, not in third world countries. And this is something which I think we should change, because it's not right that women are not treated fairly and the same as men. And so that's also one of the parts where we try to support events where women's health is, a topic, especially in today's world, where we can hear from across the Atlantic that maybe diversity and equity is not the same as it was before. So this is where my passion is as well.
And would you say this whole women's health challenge, is it a matter of awareness? Is it a matter of lacking solutions, or both? What would need to happen to kind of shift the needle?
I think it's different things. It's lack of knowledge, for sure. Then it's also where, maybe male-trained physicians spend more time in academia and research, and some disease areas are just not looked at as financially important. And I think this is where the money flow goes, and where you can make money, there you also invest. And there's a sub-investment, not enough investment in female health, and I think that is something we can change. It's already, on a good trajectory, but obviously there's still more to be done.
And a huge passion topic of yours. Now, this is your chance, ladies and gentlemen, to ask some questions. Please do so, okay? Don't let me hanging here inventing it all for you, even though I love talking to you. Send us your questions here to the stage. And while you do so, maybe let's continue on one while we collect here. At Roche, you spend a lot of money and time researching new innovations. You mentioned Alzheimer's disease before. Any other innovations that currently are close to your heart that you can disclose and you are working on?
So obviously we cannot disclose, what is coming up next, but we've done a lot of research in blood cancer. And blood cancer is something where 10 years ago, it was devastating. It was kind of a sentence to death. And with bispecific antibodies, which is very technical, but this is a new area of treating, patients with these devastating diseases. So this is one of the parts we're also very happy that we can offer solutions.
Now, Switzerland, and this is a question here from the audience, Switzerland has one of the best healthcare systems on the planet. What would make it even better?
Digitization. If you imagine Switzerland, we are about rank 18 in Europe in digitization, like Bulgaria or Romania. And I think if we look at Denmark or the Baltic countries, where you have smart ways how we can have a digital health record, where we can also have much more easy access. And, I hope, Raymond, that, the Swiss Medical Network is at the forefront of that to kind of, drive this speed in digitization.
Okay, so a lot to be done there yet still. Now, you have a very unique background. Has it helped in your career that you were a doctor before with the field that you are doing now, or would you say actually it didn't matter, you probably would have pursued the same path?
I think it has. I've been working in hospitals, and I've seen sick people who are very sick. I've seen relatives who are very sad when they lose a patient or when they see that they are not well. And I think that has taught me many lessons to always stay modest and be humble, but also understand in my today's job, when I speak to physicians, when I am at hospitals, when I speak to nurses, that I can put myself in their shoes or also in the shoes of patients. And I think that is important that we have also this view when we work in healthcare.
So the practical view as well as the entrepreneurial and academic view that you kind of combine into both. Now, one of your interests is actually, we mentioned before, the Chamber of Commerce of Zug. You have particular interest in economy as well?
Yeah, I think, when we live in Switzerland, we are spoiled because we are very fortunate, because we live in a rich country, we have a good infrastructure, but we have somehow a gap between economy and people's view on where the money comes from. And I think having a role like the presidency in the Chamber of Commerce, you can help to make understand how important it is that, we are successful, that we can drive businesses, be it small or large companies, but also show the societal value. And I think that to me is very dear to my heart. It's more than a hobby. And I think also in organizations like Chamber of Commerce, it's also still very male dominated. So I think some diversity also helps to kind of drive this.
Okay, so strong advocate for diversity. Now let me ask you a personal question. We spoke a lot about your passion for the business, for women's health, right? What gives you energy besides the work? And is there even kind of a you beside the work with all the activities you do?
Of course, I think there always should be. I think you are a bad business leader if you don't have, a part that is not the business. So I love to hike. I'm an avid hiker, especially in Swiss and Austrian mountains in France. And then I love to bake bread. This is my other passion. And then arts, music is something which gives me energy, and I have a beautiful family, so we spend a lot of time together. And I'm very grateful that I can do that beside my job.
Okay, so it sounds like an incredibly full life. Oh, any voice from the audience? Would you happen to have a question?
No, we're on the first floor, we don't hear you.
Oh.
You don't hear us.
Oh, so it must be boring. I'm sorry, in the back.
But absolutely no problem. Let's continue, and maybe you will have a chance to hear us. The one exciting next thing for you, personal or professional, in the next 3 months?
In the next 3 months?
Yeah,
so
3 to 6
I can
months.
tell you, there's going to be a gender health symposium organized, not by our company, but it's going to happen in fall. It's the first gender health symposium in Switzerland. And the University of Zurich and Bern do that, and I'm very happy that we are a partner for that, because I think that is a topic we don't speak enough about, and we spend, time and energy and money for such a thing, and that really drives me passionately.
And that is a very exciting project, and we shall all look forward to the insights that hopefully will also inform a lot of progress for women's health. Katharina, thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
this
much.
conversation, and congratulations on your nomination.